Hello and welcome to the Book Thing. My name is Mark, and today I'm continuing with my read-through of the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett, and this one is Book 5, Mort. The story of Mort has a very simple premise. What if Death, the Grim Reaper, took an apprentice? This is the story of the apprentice he takes on. His name is appropriately Mort, and this is where he goes to learn the trade of how to become Death, the Grim Reaper. We've met the character of Death in all of the Discworld books so far, but this is the first one where he is a primary character and we get to see more detail about Death and his home life. So, having become Death's assistant, the young man Mort goes to live in Death's domain, a plane of reality that Death has fashioned for himself that is attempting to look like the sort of reality that any normal person might live in. It's a little cottage in a countryside, except everything, the cottage, the trees, the grass, is all black because Death, you know. In Death's domain, that's where Mort gets to meet the rest of Death's household, which includes Death's adopted daughter Isabel, who we met briefly in The Light Fantastic, and also his housekeeper, the gruff old man Albert, who is responsible for all of the cooking around the place. Mort's initial tasks are things like accompanying his master on his rounds, so actually seeing the reaping in progress, and cleaning out the stall for his master's very real horse, Binky. After a while, Death lets Mort go out on his own, and his first task is to be there for the end of the life of a particular princess, and that job goes badly wrong, and that sets up the action for the rest of the story. Even though Mort is the main protagonist for this, this is the first time we really start to get under the skin, metaphorically, of the Death Grim Reaper character for the Discworld. And what we see is someone who takes pride in his work and making sure things are done well, and has a great deal of fascination, but also bewilderment about humanity. He, in many ways, wants to try and replicate what people do, and especially what people do when they've taken on someone to do some of the more menial tasks and you've got a little bit more time on your hands. There's not an awful lot to say about the character of Mort himself. He is a bit over-thoughtful and overanalyzes situations and can make impulsive decisions. But beyond that, he's more just the vehicle for the story to unfold through. Isabel is clearly a girl who's grown up in a bit of isolation and has a bit of a romantic view of the world. And Albert is let's just say there's more to him than initially meets the eye, and that results in some nice and interesting cameos back at the Unseen University. Mort has all of the Pratchett trademark humour that we've come to expect. The Discworld is feeling a little bit more tangible yet again. Every single time, every one of these books that we read now at this point, Discworld seems more real, more realised, more tangible. And it has a really well realised plot as well. The whole story of what happens if Death takes an apprentice and what happens if that apprentice mucks up, and how does that situation then get resolved. This is the first book in the subseries about Death on the Discworld, and as a place to start and as an introduction to the Discworld, it's not a bad one. It's one of my favourite subseries of books to read. The character of Death is really one of Pratchett's best creations, and this is where you properly see him coming into his own for the very first time. So I would say this is a solid 4.5-star book. And if it piques your interest, it's absolutely a great starting point to get into the Discworld. This is book 5 of my Discworld reread. If you'd like to see any of the other ones, please click on the link to the playlist that I put on the screen. So Mort was probably my favourite of the Discworld books in the series so far. And moving on from there, the next book that I will be talking about is one of my least favourite books in the series so far, and that is Sorcery. So if you'd like to see the review to that, please consider subscribing, and thank you very much for watching, and take care.